Well, in the last set of examples we looked at very exciting, very fast attacking. Attacking isn't always like that, it can be rather slow. I guess I sometimes call it the very slow kingside attack, whereas all you do is you just keep walking your pieces over towards the enemy king, maybe as fast as you can, but certainly steadily. And when you've got enough of them near the enemy king, you might be able to break through. And here's an example, a very famous example played by Richard Teichmann. And here we go. It starts off with Roy Lopez opening, and the best, one of the most common defences. Black just prepares to castle kingside, and after these moves, black castles kingside. Now we sometimes expect white to play aggressively in the centre, aiming to play their pawn to d4, maybe after a bit of preparation, but in this position white just is content to hold the position solid in the centre, keep the centre closed and keep the centre quiet, which will allow them to point their pieces at the enemy king. So the queenside knight, the queen's knight, is just slowly walking over towards the king side. Not much happening in the middle, and in this position black takes a decision, probably the wrong decision, to develop their bishop on the long diagonal. Maybe they were hoping to put white off moving their d pawn forward by attacking the white's e pawn, but what it did allow white to do is to move the knight to f5. So again, moving in the pieces towards the enemy king. Bishop to g5, and now well, if white wants to swap, if black wants to swap bishops in this position, if it's black's go, swapping the bishops will bring another knight in towards the enemy king, and white's quite happy with that, so plays bishop to b3. So again, this sort of position I think is quite cheerful for white, with the queen being able to join the attack at some point. So knight takes, swapping the bishops there won't be very good for black, so black moves a piece towards back towards the king, which seems useful. Bishop to d5, moving into this hole on in the middle of the board, doing a bit more hopping around. Takes, and in this position, well, white would like to play, I think, something like knight to g5 and threaten the f7 point, but of course if that happens, then black will take the bishop on d5, and white thought their position was good enough. They've got enough pieces near the enemy king, and more pieces on the king side, and more pieces able to get to the king side than black, and the sacrifice bishop takes f7 check works. And having been a very slow kingside attack, things suddenly get very, very fast and very dangerous. And check, check, king g8, queen g6, and now black's in a world of trouble. We sometimes say 2 pieces a check, 3 pieces a mate. White can certainly play a check here, but nobody dies of checks. White needs another piece into the attack before it's going to be checkmate, and rook e3 is the move, and perhaps you'd like to try and work out why it is that this is going to be checkmate. So for example, if it was white's go here, we could just play the rook to f3, threatening checkmate on h7 straight away, and if you look through all the different defences that black can try, that actually can't be stopped. And in fact, in that position you can see, if we did manage to play rook to f3, on the f, g and h files there's only white pieces and the black king, so it's no surprise that the black king dies without enough of their army around them to defend, while black's pieces are all on the queen side, looking very pretty but not really very relevant. So we have more pieces near the enemy king. So that's the very slow kingside attack, and that's another way that you can do it. It's sped up a lot at the end, I know, but a lot of the time we were just improving our position and getting the pieces towards the enemy king.